It has been a week since we left Daytona International Speedway, and we are now here in Sin City, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, for tonight's race, the Hooters Casino Hotel 250 from Las Vegas. Hello, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. In the booth with me is Jonathan Leach. John, we saw a fantastic race last week on a road course. This week, we're back on the ovals. This is going to be very fun and competitive.
It sure will. In fact, what we're going to see is some of those guys that I talked about last week that are more oval drivers. This is going to be their chance to make their comeback. They're going to have to try to regroup and make up the points that they lost when they were further in the back of the field. And those guys that did have a great finish last week, they need to shore that up again and finish off with another top 10 finish, I suppose would be the best way to put that. Sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought. However, if they can get a top 10 finish to keep those guys that were down last week behind them, that's going to help out their situation in the point standing as well.
Yeah, it absolutely will. As Pienta, with the win last week, became the first duplicate winner of this season after 7 races. You're seeing Randy Bechtel, who currently sits in the second position in point standings right now on your screen here, coming around to complete what I believe would be his first lap in the number 29. And Bechtel, third on the board right now. Chase Barry goes to the point with a 30.19. So already these guys start to really put some times down. Only got 2.5 minutes left in this qualifying session.
Yeah, bear with me here. I'm actually having a little timing issue, so
right, no problem.
I don't have the timing information, but you're right. I'm excited for a good show. Pienta becoming the repeat winner, and he's always an outstanding driver. However, if I've got to watch for a guy who I remember being very good at Las Vegas in another league, I'm gonna touch on my buddy and the guy who always runs our paint scheme, just because he loves us so much, in the number 91 vehicle, Brian Jones. I think he's going to make a comeback and make some headway in the points today.
Yep, and here is Ryan Jones about to set his first time, 14 times already set. Randy Bechtel at the top of the timing pylon with a 30.062. And Jones goes to P8 on his first lap. Evan Pienta on track, Luke Lafaro, Robert Dudley, Jeff Pogo only able to get up to P9, so time's coming in thick and fast here. Daniel Dill, who we haven't seen much of in the 81, after the opening race at Michigan, putting it up there in P3. Justin Winters up there as well. Here's Jones on his second lap. And Jones will jump up to P4 himself in the number 91 as we take a look now at Luke Lafaro completing his lap time. Lafaro up to P7 as we'll go now to Chris Brown in the 1. Brown coming off of 4 to complete his second lap was P10. He'll jump up to P9. Here's a guy we haven't seen too much of here recently. He had a great run going at Chicagoland, and that is Roy Lehmans. He's going to pull it off and stop before the completion of his first lap, so he will get another time in. Thomas Ogle, Alex Huffman is about to complete another lap. Is about to complete his first lap, and Huffman, one of the drivers that missed last week at Daytona, and that was a big hit for him. He fell from 4th to, I believe, 10th or 11th in the point standing, so a huge hit for Huffman missing Daytona last week.
Well, and that being said, it could be just because it was a road course or, outside in today's, but here we are back to an oval track where every single one of these guys are superb. So he'll be looking for a good finish here. Let's see what he can put down as far as a lap time. A 30.12. That puts him up to 6th right here, and he's still got another lap to go, I believe. Or is that his last one?
No, that was his lap done, and that is qualifying done here for this session. And we know for certain this time that we're not going to get juked with a standing start here. So we are going to grid up. We are going to do a pace lap, and this is going to give us time to do the grid properly here, as Randy Bechtel takes the pole with a 30.062. Troy Torgerson just 7/1000ths of a second shy, starting in second place, completing the first row. Daniel Dill, Ryan Jones make up row 2. Evan Pienta and Alex Huffman in row 3. Row 4, we'll see Justin Winters and Luke LaFaro. Jeff Winter and Chris Brown make up the 5th row of the grid. Row 6 will be Chase Barry and Jeff Pogo, the guys that finished second and third last week at Daytona. And making up row 7 will be Thomas Ogle and Eric Holly.
All right, and getting into the 15th on back, you got Robert Dudley. He's going to be starting 15th. 16th is going to be the machine of Jamie Leach. Tommy Cannon and Stephen Holmes are going to start this race, 17th and 19th. Douglas Wolcott, 19th. Justin McWilson in the Triple Niner machine, starting 20th. Matthew McMeekin, 21st. And Roy Lehman, who we were talking about a few moments ago, starts 22nd. Zach Calloway and Jared Hagerdorn will be starting 23rd and 24th, and Larry Pauling and Mike Mock will round out the field at 25th and 26th to get this race going.
I believe Justin Wilson will be race control here tonight.
Oh,
so 25 drivers to take the grid here tonight. Only the top 19 setting time. So Douglas Wolcott, the last one to set time here, as we get set to go on our first pace lap, our only pace lap, for the 8th race of this season 5 for the USRA. And John, this, if Chicago is anything to go by, there are a couple of guys we could pick that are going to be incredibly strong. I believe we've already run Kansas as well, which is another very similar track to this. This is a track that, if you look back at those races, heavily favors guys like Roy Lehman's, favors Alex Huffman, who won at Chicagoland. So there are some favorites to pick from here today.
You know, and I wish I could point those out, because for the majority of the oval tracks, I was on track. So I was paying attention to trying to keep up, not really seeing who was excessively fast here and there. But, I mean, Randy Bechtel's always fast. Ryan Jones is always fast. Jamie Leach is always in the top 5, top 10. Jeff Winter's up there. I mean, really, every single one of these guys has a track that they're all really good at. So, I mean, sometimes they're farther in the back, but all these guys are really, really close as far as their skill level is. So I wouldn't say it's anybody's race, but we're going to get a good show here.
We absolutely are. Randy Bechtel, who won at Kansas, will lead them off the grid here with Troy Torgerson in that number 98 Navy Ford to his outside. Round number 8 of the 5th season of the United Sim Racing Association is about to get going. As the green flag comes out, we are racing here at Las Vegas.
Randy Bechtel is getting a good start coming out of turn 2. However, Troy Torgerson is not going to let him get away. And don't look now, Daniel Dill is falling right behind the footsteps of Randy Bechtel. Ryan Jones trying to make a move on the outside to get his machine up to 3rd position.
Yep, Daniel Dill on that inside line. Alex Huffman trying to push the 91 of Ryan Jones along on that outside lane. A little bit of a different look for Ryan Jones, as Daniel Dill now starting to fall back as Evan Pienta moves up to the middle lane of this track. And this is where you're going to see a lot of guys, especially as the run gets later and later on, because this track is excessively loose early on as Troy Torgerson takes it to the lead. Torgerson.
And go ahead, sorry.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
I was going to mention, like, as you just said, as we go further into the run, we're going to start seeing guys start to work the middle groove and higher to start, I don't want to necessarily say saving tires, but, I mean, I guess it is saving tires. However, you're going to be quicker along the long run, taking that middle groove to the high groove. But on these restarts, you're going to see guys work the bottom for maybe 2 or 3 laps. But once those tires start coming in, they're going to start to move up. Otherwise, 30 laps in, they're just going to be falling back quickly, unfortunately.
This is a very, very loose racetrack, especially in the afternoon when the temps are so high as they are, as you can see on screen right now. 98 degrees Fahrenheit is your current track temperature right now. Only 69 degrees ambient. So it's a very cool day ambient-wise, but this being a desert, this track and this asphalt surface is going to get really, really hot as Ryan Jones, you had mentioned him pre-race, moves up into the second position. Randy Bechtel starting to lose places on that inside line.
Absolutely. And if you want to move a little bit farther back to a battle for the 6th position between, well, it was a battle between Luke Lafaro and Chris Brown. However, Chris Brown decides to tuck on in right behind him. He was underneath him when I just saw him a few moments ago. But it looks like the action is going to be up front again. Looked like Alex Huffman was trying to get around Ryan Jones coming out of turn 4. Didn't quite have the steam for it. Sorry to move you around so much there, Mr. Producer.
Oh, you're all good, bud. As Torgerson now starting to move that middle lane, and you can already see that middle lane has a lot of momentum as Alex Huffman takes over that second spot away from Ryan Jones, side by side going into the corner entry. That inside line's going to have it, but middle off, that back end of the car is really going to try to step out on those guys on the inside lane as Evan Pienta tries to make a move into the 5th position under Randy Bechtel in the 29. Those two guys racing for 1 and 2 in the point standings right now. As I had mentioned pre-race, Evan Pienta currently sitting 9 points clear of Randy Bechtel in the 29. And Bechtel able to hold off just for now, as Luke Lafaro is the last car in this group of 6 here that have kind of broken away of just under 3/4 of a second back to Justin Winters, who's actually running away from Chris Brown in the 1.
You got trouble in the back.
Yep, we're seeing that as Robert Dudley is around. There he is in the 49. That's the 14 of Matt McMeekin. In trouble there as well as the first caution of the evening comes out. As we will take a look here momentarily as to what happened, as you see no back end on that number 49, and he's crab walking pretty significantly there.
Yeah, that's a rough. He's got no rear end on that machine, and that being said, rear bumper, excuse me. But yeah, that's going to be very costly. Looks like he's got some power, but this is going to be unfortunate, or this is unfortunate for him.
This might put an early end to his evening, as we'll take a look at what happened here. Going in through turn number 1, it looked as though McMeekin was trying to stay off the 30 of Winter and just cause a stack up, and unfortunately Roy Lehman's in that as well. It looks like the 2 of Jared Hagedorn collects a little bit of that as well, as we'll try to we'll see what happens here. As you see the 14 just come down, there's Lehman's. The 55 looks like he might have gotten some of it as well, and Hagedorn just barely clipped the back end of it. And that is your first caution as drivers hit pit road.
Yeah, it looks like everybody 12th on back is in, starting with Daniel Dill, Jeff Winters, or Jeff Winter.
We've got a Winter and Winters. Dill wins the race off of pit road from Eric Holly and Jeff Winter. And as you had mentioned, guys from 12th on back deciding to take to pit road, and that's a decent strategy here for earlier on in this race. Get the tire advantage on these guys working on the 10th lap of the race. So those guys up front will have a little bit of wear, and if you do get a long run, it would be nice to have a little bit fresher tires as the back end starts to step out on the guys ahead of you.
Yeah, let's see here. It looks like everybody's pit road time was between 40 and 49 seconds. So I would go ahead here and assume that they all took tires and fuel. And one thing that's really great about this league is normally you have a long green flag run. So if this does go green for a long while, these 9-lap pressure tires are going to make a difference.
That will certainly be nice to see. And we saw how much fuel strategy played into last week's race at Daytona. This could be another situation. There's 166 laps here tonight. This could be another situation where fuel mileage can, if you catch a caution at the right time and the race goes green, we might see another fuel mileage race here at Vegas.
And I want to change my statement. It's probably those guys that came in. It looks like everybody took fuel from 10th to 15th, except for Jeff Pogo, who either took left sides or right sides. Chris Brown, 15th on back. They either stayed in to repair damage, or they were getting 4 tires and fuel. But most of those numbers seem a little odd. 16 seconds here, 21 there. Mike Mock might have taken 4 tires at 1577, but the 10th through 14th, fuel only, and maybe right or left sides for Jeff Pogo.
So 14th on back, that would be 10th on to 14th. That would be starting with Daniel Dill, Eric Holly, Jeff Winter, Jeff Pogo, and Chase Barry would have been the last one to have taken 2 tires. Everyone behind them taking 4 and fixing a little bit of damage. And that would certainly fit because we did see Roy Lehmans, and you can see he does have a little bit of left front damage on that number 74 Aaron's machine. You also have Jared Hagedorn, who we saw in the 2, catch a little bit of it as well. So those guys fixing damage, that would certainly fit the bill. As we get set to restart here, working on lap number 12 of 166. John, why don't you bring them down to green here?
I can most certainly do that. I am excited to do that. You're going to have Troy Turgeson and Alex Huffman are going to be on row 1, followed by Randy Bechtel and Ryan Jones. Evan Pienta just hanging out in the top 5, looking to be a repeat winner once again. Pace cars coming into turn 3 as these guys are calming down, trying to get ready to tie them down one more time, as you guys always say, and get this party started once again. All right, coming out of turn 4. Pace car comes in, doesn't follow the line. Always a little bit confusing as Troy Turgeson is on the gas. Big jump for him. Alex Huffman, not so much. Ryan Jones in the 91 machine might be able to get his nose on the inside of the 25. However, all eyes are on Troy Turgeson, who's jumped to about a third of a second lead over Ryan Jones and Alex Huffman at the start of on this restart.
Yeah, Torgerson getting out to a nice little gap here. As you can see, the 25 and the 91 working side by side going into turn 3. Luke LaFaro as well working on the inside of the 29 of Randy Bechtel, getting that position. And Thomas Ogle there in the 23 fell back, lost a couple of points with his showing at Daytona on the road course. Trying to get some of them back, and the guy he's chasing right in front of him, Randy Bechtel in the 29.
And don't look now. Looks like Alex Huffman is trying to overtake Troy Turgeson for the lead coming into turn 3. He does have the lead. It's going to go ahead and move Alex Huffman to the first place position in front of that really pretty Navy machine of Troy Turgeson.
The Chicagoland winner, the number 25 of Alex Huffman, now leading the way, running that middle lane. Ryan Jones in the 91 does seem content to run that inside lane. And Jones, at least running the inside lane now, he's going to come down. A little bit of a late apex there for the 91. Is able to stay with them. The points leader, Evan Pienta, currently sitting behind him. And Luke LaFaro has a train of cars behind him, Bechtel in the 29, Ogle in the 23, Justin Winters in the 52. All running very different lines as Ogle gets to the outside of Bechtel.
Yeah, what these guys are doing right here, they're just kind of looking to see where they can take the run that they're getting. And unfortunately, when you're spread out like that, I mean, this isn't really a 3 or 4 groove kind of racetrack, so the room just isn't there. Maybe as a driver, you're hoping somebody in front of you will slip just a bit and then you can fill the gap, but it's not really working. These guys all over the place trying to find a lane to improve their scoring position.
That is Luke Lafaro. This is the battle for the 5th position here between Luke Lafaro, Thomas Ogle, Justin Winters, and Randy Bechtel. It wasn't, but last time through turn 3 and 4, Bechtel was under the 20 for the 5th position. Now he's battling just to stay in the 7th position right now as Bechtel about to get passed up by the 52 of Winters. Fortunately for him, there's a little bit of a gap back to Daniel Dill, so he'll be able to slide in. But right now, Bechtel moving the wrong way here in this group, as you see up here at the left-hand part of your screen. Ryan Jones looking for a lane under Troy Torgerson as this front 3 continues to run away.
Yeah, and to be honest, Ryan Jones is looking for a really good finish here. I mean, he's always very competitive, but he's just been unfortunate towards the end of races as of late, especially early in the season when I was still driving. He was very competitive at a handful of tracks and then got into some late race incidents, unfortunately. So he's looking to capitalize on this, what's appearing to be a good run for him.
That was a big slide by the 25 coming out of turn 2. He's going to be able to hold the lead, hold that inside line. And that's something you're going to see, as we've mentioned earlier on. You are going to see a lot of drivers sliding coming out of especially turn 2. This track gets incredibly loose as the run goes on and as the tires wear. And boy, did Huffman really bite it there that last time through turn 2.
Yeah, he sure did, but I mean, he's holding pace with these guys really well. However, that could be because he's taking the lane away as Ryan Jones slides up real far right there, gets kind of close to Troy Turgensen. That's going to slow them both down just a touch. But no contact. Good job.
Good. They're still side by side there, the 91 and the 98 for that second position. That outside lane, we would expect to have a little bit more of an advantage. Torgerson able to keep it straight coming off of turn 2. He's going to pull ahead of the 91. Jones is going to look to dive it once again to that inside line and really push up in the center. He's going to have to let off big time, a lot more than he had to last time around, and that's going to put Evan Pienta right to his outside. The points leader looking for a podium position, and he very well might have it going into turn 1. Still side by side, but Pienta now will clear him. Pienta to third.
Yeah, that pushed it a little bit too far in there. Got a little, I don't want to say loose. It almost looked like he got tight, had to get out of it, like you said, and that ended up costing him a position for now. Tires are definitely starting to wear out for these top 6 guys that were stayed out on the track, or excuse me, everybody that stayed out on the track, because nobody's replaced tires yet. So as tires wear out, they're going to have that pushing scenario, as well as coming out of turn 2 and turn 4, where you're extremely loose when you're getting back onto the throttle because of how hot the track is.
It is very awkward the way this track works. You get very, very tight on entry into the corner, but from middle off, the back end really does not want to comply with what you ask it to do. As you see, Luke Lafaro currently running in the 5th position right now in that DoorDash number 20 Toyota Camry. Randy Bechtel and Thomas Ogle behind him. Huffman currently leading by about a half a second over Troy Torgerson. Justin Winters in the 52 is the last car in this front group. Tommy Cannon in the 47 just getting past Daniel Dill right now. And if you're looking at guys who took tires, 2 tires on that last pit stop, they're all still right where they were. 10th through about 16th is where those guys currently sit, have not moved up at all from the tire stops.
Well, I want to remember I had to make that correction. I went back in and looked at the pit stop times, and the only person that might have taken tires was Jeff Pogo out of that 10th through 15th position. group of guys that were in. It looks like everybody else just just filled up the tanks because they were between 5 and 6 second stops. However, I'm hesitant to believe that even Pogo took tires because he hasn't really improved his position too much either. I believe he's up about 2 spots since those pit stops. So I think everyone's trying to stay on the same tire cycle, but these guys are trying to give themselves the opportunity to stay out a little bit longer when the pit cycle does begin.
And now with Tommy Cannon, you can see with Cannon in the lead of this quote-unquote second group here, Cannon, Dill, and Pogo, I guess you could say, are actually catching this group of 8 in front of them. So these guys with a nice run, and it looks like Douglas Wolcott has had an issue in the 72. He has brought it into pit road. We stay green here as we look to see what happened to Douglas Wolcott. Trying to bring it to pit road and actually just stops well off track. So we stay green here, working lap 27 of 166. Huffman still in the lead, Torgerson second, Pienta sitting in the third position. As boy, Ryan Jones all over the back of Evan Pienta right now.
Sure is. Excuse me, I'm having a little bit of trouble here with the cameras working on my screen. They work sometimes, and sometimes I've got to try to manually catch up to you. So bear with me. I missed a little bit of that. We are looking at the I'm looking at the number 91 of Ryan Jones right now. Looks like he did. Never mind. He lost that position to fourth. He didn't fall back to fifth.
No, you're right. He is still in the fourth position. Randy Bechtel, by the way, has gotten around the 20 of Luke Lafaro up into the fifth position. So the 29 Dryden car starting to come alive as Jamie Leach in the 13 becomes the first driver to go one lap down on track. There you see him up at the top of the screen. Huffman still holding a nice advantage over Troy Torgerson as we work lap 30 here at Las Vegas. That 25 car looks really, really strong.
He sure does. And to mention, last time by, he was the fastest driver on track by 0.05 of a second. Randy Bechtel, the time before that, was the fastest driver by about 0.2, our fastest vehicle on track. But as of that time by, Alex Huffman was quickest. It looks like Alex Huffman's quickest once again. Randy Bechtel off 100th that time as well.
I really do wish, I don't know if you remember, back when ESPN had NASCAR in the 90s, they would do it every now and again to where they would put the drivers' numbers up and the lap times that they ran. And they would show, at least for the top 10, they would put a number graphic up next to who was quickest that lap. Boy, do I wish we had that ability to show you guys here. As we
there might be a way, but we'll talk about that after. There might be a way. I have a thought and I have an idea, and it may work. Maybe we can bring it to you guys next week.
I certainly hope that would be the case, as we're watching Huffman now with a half a second lead over this man in the 98, Troy Torgerson. Only one caution here so far tonight, and that was for Robert Dudley in the 49, and Matt McMeekin in the 14 coming together on in turns 1 and 2. From there, we have Ben Green Flag Racing as Ryan Jones is starting to put ever-increasing pressure on that number 16 of Evan Pienta. He's actually going for the dive into turn 3 here on Pienta, the 91. But again, he's going to push up in the middle of the corner.
Yeah, well, Evan Pienta gives him plenty of room. He understands that trying to pass here in these turns, you gotta leave yourself a little bit of room, or you risk getting doored at no fault of the passing driver. It's just the way the track is. I mean, that driver can do a really good job. But there's also some bumps in the corners here, and they can send you up the track as well. So Evan Pienta did a good job. Ryan Jones with the slightly preferred line into the corner, was able to complete the pass, moving back up to P3.
As Huffman still leading away, and I'm starting to think Randy Bechtel is doing or has done a very wise thing, and that would be that he laid off, tried to save the tires a little bit, and now he's starting to work his way back up through this field. As he had fallen back as far as 8th position, he's up to 5th, and now going under Pienta might actually get this move done before turn 3, still side by side in the middle, but he's really able to hug that inside lane. Pienta's going to have to run off of turn 4, but that 29 has gotten really strong as this run has gone on.
Sure is. He still doesn't quite have him cleared coming into turn 1. He does have him cleared now, but we're going to see if Evan Pienta, and I was going to say, can get a run off turn 2. He does not. Randy Bechtel following Ryan Jones, move him up to the 4th position. Looks like a single... Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It says Luke Lafaro and Thomas Ogle have broken away from the 54 of Justin Winters. He is now coming under fire from Tommy Cannon, Daniel Dill, and Jeff Pogo. Pogo, coming into this race, has quite a streak going. 3 points races and 1 charity event. Pogo has finished 2nd, 1st, 2nd, and 2nd in his last 4 USRA events. So Pogo is on a great run of form here, looking to continue that here at Vegas.
He sure is, and I'm definitely convinced that he did not take tires. He might have just sat in the pits a little bit longer than normal. He's still back there hanging out in the 11th position. So not really sure, but he's just hanging out. It looks to me like he's just kind of feeling out the track, driving around, not making any daring moves right now. And don't get me wrong here, Jeff Pogo is fast, so I don't think we've seen everything that he's got right now. I think we'll see a lot more of him as this goes forward.
I definitely assume so as well, especially the way he came on late in that race at Darlington. I would not be surprised at all if Pogo starts to really make a move onwards and upwards as this race unfolds. Looking a little bit further back, one guy who had some damage in that first wreck, that is the 74 of Roy Lehman's. He was one of the serious contenders back at Chicagoland. It got caught up in a late race incident. It was put on the back foot here early on. You can see the damage on the left front of that number 74 Aaron's Dream Machine. But Lehman's still giving that car a good ride up in the 13th position, trying to keep Jeff Winter on the inside at bay. And boy, Winter really had to dive out of the way or cause a wreck. And Winter now is going to lose a position to Eric Holly, as Winter had a big moment there.
And I've got to ask, we're not still on board with Jeff Winter, are we?
No, we are not.
Man, so it works when it wants to work, and it doesn't work when it doesn't want to work. All right.
I
know we're on Jeff Winter. However, if you wanted to show me the roll bar screen, I imagine we're watching from the upper stands cameras.
Yes, we are watching from the television cameras, and that unfortunately is one of the things here, and I think I might know why we're having these issues. If you guys don't know the overlay program that we use, SDK, there is a way that your broadcast partner can see the screen that you're seeing right now instead of going and independently looking through the field. But I think that works when both people have the same camera pack, which I don't think we have. As Alex Huffman now coming under fire from Troy Torgerson, who has really caught up to the back of that 25, putting him under serious pressure going into turn 1. Torgerson to the inside for the lead.
Yeah, and he's on the inside here. But this is gonna
big
be
slide for the 25, my goodness.
This is exactly what I was trying to say. It's going to be real tough to complete this pass because, that high line just has a lot more grip right now, and it looks like Torgerson's going to be able to slide up in front of him here, and probably because of that big slide that you just pointed out.
Yeah, that was a massive slide from the 25 of Huffman. You see Robert Dudley flash by the screen there. That right now, with what we've seen, with how much that 98 has caught up, I have a feeling Torgerson's going to run away with this right now, as it looks like Huffman either just pushing too hard to try to keep that spot on the outside lane, or he's really run the rear tires off of that car. It just looks like Torgerson, I have a feeling, is going to run away right now.
Well, we'll find out in the next couple laps. He was, 0.2 of a second faster than Alex Huffman that time, and, or excuse me, about 0.3 of a second faster than Alex Huffman. And it looks like, well, I was going to say Ryan Jones looked like he was about to be under siege from Randy Bechtel. However, that seems to have cooled down just a touch since we were last. Look, never mind. It's on the inside. Wow. He was right behind him.
I think Jones might have been trying to go to pit road there because he went right down to the inside lane, realized he was going to be too quick. I'm surprised. That feels a little early for a pit stop, no, as he's really having problems center off here in that 91.
Well, so Ryan, and remember, Ryan Jones is a teammate of mine in another league. And I hope I'm not giving away secrets, he tends to pit a touch earlier than everybody else. Part of that.
Here he comes.
Yeah, he sure is coming down right now. But he tends to pit a little bit earlier than everybody else. I think he really likes to play undercutting the field and trying to take out that advantage early. And because he believes that when the tires start to wear down, that everybody will be pretty even, and then he'll come away with a 5 or 6 second gap. And more times than not, it does tend to work out for him unless there's an excessively long green flag run after the fact. It's one way he always beats me.
There's Jones at the perfect stop in the box. He didn't take as much time last week as now Troy Torgerson comes into pit. Alex Huffman does the same. That will leave Randy Bechtel with the race lead, and that's big for Bechtel, getting a point for leading a lap right now. As you see down at the bottom of your screen, the initials of your favorite driver's last name, the time that you see on the outside ticking away, that is the total time in pit road. The time you're going to see in the brackets as Bechtel comes in is their total time stopped in their pit box down there on the bottom of your screen. So Ogle stopped for 15 seconds, Huffman for 14.9. Torgerson had the fastest pit stop out of all of them at a 14.7 on pit road. And right now, this will cycle out to Chris Brown in the number 1 leading this race.
It sure will. Let's keep an eye on Ryan Jones. I know it was 1 lap earlier, but let's see where he is associated to Turgensen and when he gets off of pit road here, because that's going to probably be our race for the lead.
Wow!
Yeah, he definitely thread the needle right there, getting by the number 25 machine of Alex Huffman. I think he's just behind Torgerson.
Yep.
Yeah,
he's right behind him, and he said, "Yeah, I got quick to have the fresh tires. I'm using them." There you see a visual representation of the gap. It already worked for him to get 1 spot. He's gotten past Alex Huffman in that incredible move you just saw. We're going to try to catch this again here as Jones just went full bore on it.
Yeah, that man is not scared. He is not timid. If there's a hole, he'll put the car in it. He knows what he's doing.
He certainly does. And look, right in the middle of turn 3 and 4, just threads the needle, goes 3 abreast in 2 different rows of drivers. Just what a move by the driver of the 91.
Absolutely. And you know what else that shows? I mean, that shows respect to the other drivers on track.
Yes.
They all respect each other enough to hold their lines. You didn't see anybody get loose or freak out right there, which happens in a lot of other leagues. So these guys respect everybody. Everybody knows that each other is really a solid driver, can hold a line, and that's why that worked out right there for Ryan Jones.
You can see he's already coming under fire from Alex Huffman. This is technically this is a battle for the 8th position right now. This is the battle for the lead once pit stops cycle out. McMeekin right now is in pit road. The only drivers that have yet to hit pit road are drivers that came into pit under that first caution. Here is your leader, Chris Brown, as Jeff Pogo gets his lap back. Luke LaFaro is about to do the same. Jeff Winter in the 30, currently running in the 2nd position. Roy Lehman's in 3rd. A driver we haven't seen much over these last couple of weeks, Larry Poling in the number 69, currently running in the 4th position as it sits. Zach Calloway running in the 5th position right now, and those are the 5 drivers that have yet to come in for this round of green flag pit stops. And back coming out of turn 2 is Troy Torgerson, the effective race leader, when all these guys do come into pit.
Right on, and I assume these guys are out on track right now. They're probably trying to work the fuel mileage game. They might be trying to make this on one less stop than everybody else, and it could work out for them if there's not an untimely caution later, because I believe, and I could be wrong here, I think Ryan's going to have to stop. He might just stop 3 more times with that early pit stop. I could be wrong, but he might have to.
Only early by 1 lap, as Jeff Pogo was the first driver to duck off, pitting on lap 45. Daniel Dill came in with him as Pogo looking for the 11th position right on the back of Randy Bechtel in the 29. Ryan Jones, the only driver to pit on lap 46. The rest of the field coming in on lap 47. As Pogo now coming under fire from Luke Lafaro.
You know what? I take that back. Doing some simple math, which I should have done before I spoke. I'm pretty sure those guys pitting on lap 46, 47, 48, they should be able to make it 2 more times, barring any untimely cautions. So I'm not really... Go ahead.
You haven't done too many broadcasts with us, and if there's one thing that you will learn very, very quickly, is math is not one of our strong suits in the booth. So if you make a mathematical error, trust me, it's par for the course.
Man, I can't even get par for the course in real life, to be honest. I shoot double bogey golf at best.
Well, there you go. As Poling and Callaway both hit pit road, that will leave Jeff Winter with the race lead. The number 1 of Chris Brown, you can see him in this battle of drivers trying to get their laps back the hard way. As that is Stephen Holmes in the 9 doing it there. That is your second place runner there, Chris Brown. Roy Lehmans in the 47 running in 3rd position. Troy Torgerson is at the start-finish line now. There you see him. He will be still will be effective race leader, and the 91 and 25 still battling each other. And
I was about to mention that these guys are still going back and forth with each other, but you beat me to it. It seems like you and I are very similar, and we want to call the same things at the same time.
That's a good thing. That is just means we're thinking alike, and those guys also really starting to catch up to the 98 of Torgerson, and honestly could be a part of Torgerson's strategy. We saw him really come alive late in the run. Same thing with the 29 as Winter and Brown both hit pit road, as it looks like the 11 is down on the apron going slow. That is Chase Barry. Looks like he has some front end damage.
Maybe he slightly bumped somebody coming out of the pits, or somebody coming up to speed. Well, you got the 49 too coming in.
It could have a flat tire there for Chase Barry. We'll try to see what we can see from Barry here, as this is still the battle for the race lead. Trying to find something that happened to Barry. Possibly have been here. Oh no, this is him. No, it's still down on the apron. In any event, something happened to the guy who was really the only one that was able to compete with this man, Evan Pienta, really all race last week, and unfortunately here has some sort of issue that has really put him back here tonight.
Hmm.
Still looking through, and I can't. Let's see. Let me try one more thing here. We're going to go back. This is lap 57 for Barry at least. Oh, there's Barry down there. He's had an issue. I think that's with Roy Lehman's. Yep, Lehman's spinning. There's Barry. So the third place runner and Chase Barry had an issue, had some sort of coming together in turn 4. And that would explain why Lehman's is still in pit road.
Yeah, 2 minutes 36 seconds and counting right now.
And that's unfortunate for a guy who was just battling for the third position. And speaking of third position, we have a new man occupying that position. Ryan Jones has lost second to Alex Huffman in the 25. There are these two, and while we were watching the replay, here is the pass. This is going into turn 3. Rather academic for the driver of the 25, and he was able to sail off. And the gap that you see now is the gap that is there as you see Roy Lehman's flash in the foreground of your screen.
And it seems like the current battle is going to be for that 5th place position between Randy Bechtel and Thomas Ogle. Looks like Randy Bechtel's got the upper hand on Thomas Ogle here. He's going to take away the 5th position.
Yeah, and this was really the part of the run where Bechtel's car really came alive. As that 29 definitely does seem to be a long-run car. It certainly was that way back at Kansas a couple of weeks ago. As Bechtel now in that 5th position. And 4th, 5th, and 6th right now, Pienta, Bechtel, and Ogle. As unfortunately Mock is in between them, so it's messing up the battle box. But 4th, 5th, and 6th right now are 1, 2, and 3 in the point standings. And so it's not really minimal changes in points right now as it stands. As Evan Pienta heading through turns 3 and 4. Pienta does have 2 wins on the season, as we had mentioned earlier on. Won the race at Daytona last week on the road course with a dominant performance, particularly in the second half of that race. And also had just a sheer dominant performance at North Wilkesboro. And he is really bearing down on that number 91, as Jones might have used a little too much tire too early.
And, well, I mean, that could be possible. Let's give it a little time and see what happens. Maybe he's backed off just a little bit, realizing he can't run so hard. I mean, he's still running 31:49, so, I mean, he's within a tenth of Troy Turgenson's time. Evan Pienta was actually a little slower that time by than Brian Jones, so they might all be saving a little bit, trying to last a little longer this time around.
Randy Bechtel right now in that number 29, the fastest man on track last time by at a 31:29, a full tenth quicker than the race leader Troy Torgerson. This time running a 4.4. As Torgerson, the race leader, the quickest man on track, he's getting past Roy Lehman's right now, putting Lehman's trying to get a lap back. Lehman's on fresher tires and will get a lap back in that number 74. Matt McMeekin currently right behind him in the 17th position. First car 1 lap down. Jared Hagedorn, here you see him in the 2. He was a part of that first wreck. Currently the last car on the lead lap in that Milwaukee Tools number 2 Ford Mustang.
And unfortunately, the way Troy Torgenson's driving around the track right now, he will be relegated to a lap down, I imagine, in probably about 12 laps, unless he gets a an ideal caution to keep him on the lead lap. But that right rear damage has got to be hurting him, especially on entry here at this track. It seems like he's going to take a much wider entry to get even a decent exit. Unfortunate that he sustained that damage earlier in the race.
Yeah, it certainly is, and he was just clipped in that first accident. He gets a big slide on coming out of turn 4. Just ahead of him is Eric Holly in the number 8. We saw Holly really competitive earlier on in the season, had a great run at Michigan, Chicagoland, same thing. Really, thinking back to it, I would have to say the last really competitive race for the driver of the number 8 was back at North Wilkesboro. Ever since then, he's really been hovering around that 8th to 15th run in the on the pylon. Currently sitting in the 15th position right now as the driver of the number 8. Gets a big wiggle there. Does Holly. Daniel Dill would be the next driver ahead of him. And the two drivers who stayed out the latest are right in front of him. That would be Jeff Winter and Chris Brown in the number 1 and the number 30. Tommy Cannon in the 47, and then Stephen Holmes. A very nice paint scheme on that number 9. Is that Post-its on that number 9?
I believe it is. Let me try to get a closer view since the cameras don't like to work for both of us. No, Velo Duds? Velo Duds. I'm not familiar. Velo Duds? It kind of looks like a Best Buy
that's
like color scheme, but I'm not sure what Velo Duds is. Let me look this up. VeloDuds.com. Let's give them some
yeah, there you go. There's a
freebie read.
Yeah, there's an unpaid plug right there. Speaking of unpaid plugs, while he's looking for the unpaid plug, we'll do the paid ones right now. DiecastNuts.com is one of our sponsors here tonight. DiecastNuts.com is a community site for people who love diecasts. Whether you want to post your collection, view other members' collections, or buy or trade to add to your own collection, DiecastNuts.com is the number one place to go. Other automotive memorabilia is available as well at DiecastNuts.com. That is nuts with a Z, DiecastNuts.com, or find them on Facebook by searching Diecast Nuts. The logo that you see up there in the top right corner right now, that is Rocket Racing Setups. Rocket Racing Setups is quickly becoming one of the lead setup builders for the iRacing community. If you need a proven race winner for your league or your run for the official season championships, Rocket Racing Setups is where you need to go. Rocket Racing Setups offers both dirt and asphalt setups along with setup adjustment guides and precise fuel sheets with the ability to request one-on-one coaching. If you like to build your own setups, Rocket Racing Setups is really difficult to beat for the price. If you're ready to take your sim racing experience to the next level, head on over to RocketRacingSetups.com today. And I believe we have the unpaid one ready now.
It is ready now. So, Velo Duds, the car that Stephen Holmes is driving, it seems to be a shirt and memorabilia store. They've got all sorts of fancy T-shirts. I'm looking at kind of like an ET meme right here, like a knockoff ET meme, I guess. They actually got some pretty fancy stuff, so go ahead and check that out for Stephen Holmes. Velo Duds, a coffee mug.
So it's
they
the
got
regular
some mugs for Pac-Man. Yeah, I guess it's kind of like a Teespring store.
Okay.
Sort of like that.
Speaking of which, you are wonderful at segues, sir, because we have our own Teespring store. You could find a link to that down in the description of both the YouTube and the Facebook streams. If you're watching this race from, you can also find it on our website. That would be ESBNofficial.com, where you can find links not just to our Teespring site, but to the die-cast nuts and the Rocket Racing setup sites as well. So now, while we were doing those sponsorship reads, there's been a little bit of a shakeup in the top 5. Ryan Jones has moved up into the second position, passing Alex Huffman. Randy Bechtel has caught up to, passed, and run away from Evan Pienta in the number 16. So we saw it in the first run. We also saw it back at Kansas. That 29 is incredibly strong on the long runs as he's looking to the inside of Alex Huffman going into turn 3 for the third position.
And you know, that might be so, but everybody's still chasing Troy Turgensen. Troy Turgensen, fastest driver on track. Not too much faster than Randy Bechtel, but still quicker. So Randy Bechtel's got Ryan Jones set on his sight, but he's going to have to find a little bit more speed if he's going to get up front and try to take the lead away from Troy Turgensen.
He's got to find a little bit more of a gap around this 25. Does slide up, gets in front of that 25, and now he can set his sights solely on the driver of the 91. There is a 4-second gap between race lead and second place right now. As you can see on that little time delta there, that gap has done nothing but grow over these last couple laps. Torgerson is picking them up and putting them down here today. That 98 Navy car is flying tonight.
He sure is, and we are on lap 84. So we've run 36 laps on this set of tires right now. So I would say in the next 12 laps, we're going to start seeing some green flag pit stops. Who's going to take a chance? Who's going to come in early? Who's going to try to close the gaps with the undercut? Is this the right time to do that? And it looks like Chase Perry is out as well. He looks up the server. And Jeff Pogo is in. Stephen Holmes in the Velo Duds machine.
Yep, Jared Hagedorn in as well. These guys coming in a little bit earlier than they had during the last run. They've run 40 laps on this set of tires, these three have. And remember, Pogo came in on lap 45. As there goes Torgerson to put those guys a lap down. Bechtel has up and run away from Huffman and Pienta. As now these guys are starting to battle for the fourth position. This is Pienta and Huffman. And Huffman, you can really see him more so than any other car. That 25, the back end of his car, really starting to step out here in these corners. He might be coming into pit road here. Yes, he is. Trying to, at least. He'll get in.
Yeah, he sure will. He's definitely having a loose-off, extremely tight-end situation. So, I mean, he was probably glad that these guys started coming in because then he has an excuse to make his pit stop. Now, coming in early, or coming in now, I highly expect to see Ryan Jones come in either next time or the time after that, and then Troy Turgeson can't wait too much longer after that either.
Troy Torgerson does have a 4.5-second gap, essentially. So he does have a little bit of time, but yes, you certainly would like to cover off the guy behind you as quickly as possible. So far, lapped up to 10th position. We are just starting this run of the pit cycle here as Huffman in and out of pit road, Daniel Dill in, Justin Winters in, Jeff Pogo has been in and out. As you're seeing the second place runner right now, here comes, as you'd mentioned, Ryan Jones is in, but he's not going to get that undercut because Torgerson beat him in.
Yeah, he sure did. However, it's gonna be who got on pit road the best, who's gonna get off pit road the best, and we'll see that once they get back on track. Also, Evan Pienta, Luke Lafaro, Thomas Ogle, and Tommy Cannon follow Troy Turgeson in.
This man on screen right now, Randy Bechtel, is the only driver in the top 6 that did not come in that last lap, and he is coming in now in that number 29 Dryden Chevrolet. As there you see him poking out from behind this arched pit road. That will give this man, Jeff Winter, the race lead. And again, Winter, Brown, McMeekin, these are all guys that came in way later, a good 10 to 15 laps later than anybody else. So Winter, Brown, McMeekin, these are all guys that can go a little while here before they need to come in again.
They sure can. And looking at the times from those pit stops, see, Troy Turgidson had a 15.4-second stop. Ryan Jones was actually a little quicker with a 15.05. However, total pit lane time, they were only separated by a 100th. So not the time that Ryan Jones was looking for to close the gap. He's going to have to do it on track.
And seeing these guys right now, there is the 91. He's getting around the 29 of Bechtel. Bechtel's going to come out between him and Evan Pienta. Pienta's going to fly around him, having heat in the tires and a little bit of pace up. There is Ryan Jones getting around Jeff Pogo, trying to get around him at least for effective third position. But right now it is Alex Huffman who got the big advantage on that pit stop. Huffman coming in 2 laps sooner than these guys. The 25 has worked his way into the second position and really showing the pace and showing how much that undercut can really help around here.
Yeah, he sure is. He's putting up substantially, very great lap times. Was faster than Troy Turgidson by 2 tenths and 2.5 tenths there. Ryan Jones faster than Ryan Jones by a tenth. So it seems that he's definitely got a little more short run speed than these two guys. But as the long run comes out, it seems like Ryan Jones kind of comes on midway through, but then Troy Turgidson just seems to be fast and save just a touch more tire for the end of the long run.
It's been, as far as long run cars go, it has been between the drivers of the 98 and 29 as far as how good are you on the long run. Is Ryan Jones starting to run away now from Jeff Pogo. Pogo pit on lap 84. Jones coming in on lap number 88. So we'll try to get this this graphic up here. There are your top 8 right now. Again, those you see the top 3 have yet to pit for their second stops. So really you're looking from 4th on down as to where these guys came into pit. And Pogo has really made some gains by coming in a couple laps earlier than everybody else. Remember, he was fighting down in the 10th, 11th range. He's now vaulted himself up into an effective 4th position.
Yeah, it's just going to be how well can he stay up there. I mean, his tires are 4 laps older. In this situation, this is where, I mean, you want to drive fast, but you don't want to use your stuff up battling somebody with 8 or 4 to 5 lap pressure tires. You sometimes might want to yield that position and get back up in line. I mean, don't give the position away, but you don't want to sit there and battle. You got to let these tires even out to try to hold that much-needed track position that he gained from that 4-lap undercut.
Getting past Robert Dudley now in that number 49, who was a part of the one and only caution we saw tonight back on lap 8. We have been green flag racing for 90 laps since then, as Evan Pienta now coming up behind the driver of the number 4. Matt McMeekin has surrendered the 3rd position, actually lost the 3rd position to Troy Torgerson on track, and has now come into pit road surrendering the 4th position. So once again, Jeff Winter and Chris Brown, the last 2 drivers to come into pit road. There is your race leader, Jeff Winter, in the 30, getting some all-important laps led, has a 4-second gap over this man. Chris Brown in the 3rd place on back has made their pit stops. As there you see Torgerson about to hit the century mark here for this race tonight, working lap 99 of 166. Jeff Winter and Chris Brown still have yet to make their pit stops. We will be back here momentarily to bring you the rest of the Hooters Casino Hotel 250 from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Don't go anywhere. Troy Torgerson has retaken the race lead, and that was on track before this man, Chris Brown, the driver of the number 1, has come into pit road. Here is the pass for the race lead. Again, the last time Brown has come into pit was back on lap 59. Torgerson, who came in on lap 88, there is the pass for the race lead, and that just goes to show how far off you are running here on older tires. You're losing a half a second a lap, as I believe now the driver of the 1 is going to come in. He's going really slow down the back straightaway.
So here's the kicker. I'm doing the math right now. So 59 laps would be from here to the end of the race, right? And then 107 minus lap 59, 48.
You trying to tell me he's going to make it from here? He can make it from here.
I'm thinking he's going to try.
So, son of a gun, we are going to have another fuel mileage race.
He might be a few laps short, but I think that might be what he's going for here. And I mean, he's worked it. I mean, he stayed out the longest, lap 59 to lap 107. That's a 48 lap run, and then 166 laps for the race, minus, let's say, 108. That's 58 remaining, but yeah, I don't know. It's going to be close.
I mean, the one thing that's going to really hurt him is the fact that he lost the lead of the race, not by coming into pit road, but just on overall pace.
Right.
Is when he lost the lead.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. But I mean, and even still, so even if he doesn't make it, he can stay out a little, probably a touch longer than these guys else right here. And as this race comes down to the end, it's going to heat up. What if he gets that caution and effectively traps half the field a lap down?
That could also certainly be a play. Brown right now down in the 14th position. He was 4 seconds behind this man, Jeff Winter, who is currently in a battle, not on the lead lap with these guys. This is Randy Bechtel, who has taken over the 3rd position. Alex Huffman down in 4th. As Huffman, you can still see him wiggle in that Chevrolet around. But we know Winter can't make it, but Brown and Huffman are the 2 that have stayed out the longest. Brown able to stay out 6 laps longer than Jeff Winter was. Brown now 8 seconds off the driver of 30 when coming into pit road. He was only 4.5, so he has also lost a considerable amount of time to the guys he was racing around.
Yeah, we're just going to have to see how this one works out. It's probably not a race-winning move with the amount of time that he lost, but I mean, it's a 10 move. And he was struggling early on in this race. So that this could be really big for Chris Brown, that number 1 machine.
Certainly could be. Is this a battle for 4th position now? Is Evan Pienta battling with Alex Huffman? And Huffman trying to work that middle lane, just having a very difficult time keeping the back end of that 25 in order as the 16 of Pienta makes a move to the inside lane. This is giving Huffman the lane he wants, but just does not have the car to fight Pienta the way he would want to, as he is really struggling on that set of tires.
Yeah, and I'm looking at number 25 machine, and I don't see any crinkles or damage that could be affecting that car. So I'm not really sure why he's struggling more so, except for maybe his car doesn't like the track change, with the rubber getting down. You can see the rubber laid down on the track now that wasn't there early. Or these other guys, Randy Bechtel, Evan Pienta, who are just a touch faster, have improved and slowly caught up to make the pass.
You see the weather graphic on the screen right now. As we get later on in the day, we're simulating 4:30 p.m. right now. What would be local time. The track temperature has actually gone down by 11 degrees. Remember, it was 98 degrees at the start of the race. It's just dipped down to 87. So uncharacteristically for this track, it's actually getting a lot tighter, which means the harder you run, the less it's going to get loose now. The back end's going to step out, but more now it's going to push on corner exit. And the two guys, go figure, the two guys that have been able to corral that handling issue the best, the 98 of Torgerson, the 29 of Bechtel, are the two drivers that are really making their way up through the field, although Ryan Jones really is not that far off these guys.
No, I was going to say, you can't sleep on Ryan Jones. He was faster than Troy Turgeson and a touch slower than Randy Bechtel that time by. I mean, there he is, always running our ESPN colors. I really like that. Is it like a eagle on the front end of that machine, or the Firehawk or whatever? That's a really cool chrome scheme, and he's really been putting some work into putting these schemes together, or metallic schemes, that is. So, I mean, I'm really hoping my pre-race pick can get it done, but he's got his work cut out for him if he was going to advance to that final and first place position.
Yep, certainly. He does have to make up 3 3/4 seconds right now to the race lead. By the way, talking about a guy who is doing great with paint schemes, is there you see the one of Chris Brown. He's not a factor right now, currently sitting 1 lap down, but as this race goes on a little bit more, he's in a position to where he possibly can make it the rest of the way on fuel, try to sneak a top finish out of here, possibly a win. So while we may not be watching that number 1 car right now, we'll certainly be watching him later on. But again, speaking of paint schemes, Evan Pienta, if you guys haven't checked him out on Trading Paints, he's been doing a lot of schemes recently. He's going to have to fix he's going to have to fix part of the scheme on that after that big slide.
I think it's still loose out there.
Yeah.
it's still loose out there, boss. It ain't that cool.
He's really getting loose now with the 25 of Huffman right on his back bumper. As these two are having a close battle, this being for the 4th position, these two guys have really put it to each other, and you can see the difference in lap times. These guys are running the same lap times down to the 10th. Here's Huffman now going for that 4th position. He's going to get it back. Huffman's cooled those tires down, has been able to get some grip back in those Goodyear Eagles. He's back up into the 4th position. Right
on. And now I want to go back to the top 3 guys for a quick moment. Their last lap times were all within let's say a tenth of each other. Randy Bechtel was a tenth and 100th off the leader, but faster than the leader. Randy Bechtel was fastest that time by, followed by Ryan Jones, and Troy Turgeson was about a tenth off of their times. So maybe the number 91 and the number 29 machine are coming to life a little better than Troy Turgeson, but we'll see. We're going to keep monitoring the laps as they tick down.
And looking through these top 3 right now, they were all within 300ths of each other this last time through. You see those times at the top of the screen. Jones actually the quickest of the trio. Not the quickest driver on track that last lap, though. That goes to Alex Huffman in the 25. But Huffman currently sitting 3.5 seconds off of 3rd place Randy Bechtel as Jeff Pogo is coming into pit road. We know he can make it from here, but this is going to be to the bitter end of a tire run and to the bitter end of a fuel run, maybe trying to help his chances by drawing everybody in a little bit earlier than they normally would come in.
Yeah, that very well could be, and that might be what he has to do. And I'm going back to the Chris Brown situation. I think if this draws everybody in, it's going to effectively ruin Chris Brown's chances.
Yeah, that is a good point. That is certainly a very good point. As Tommy Cannon having an issue behind our leader, Troy Torgerson. Thomas Ogle has taken the bait. Justin Winters, Stephen Holmes, those guys have taken the bait that Jeff Pogo laid out. They are now in pit road. That is 7th, 8th, and 9th position right now. Are those guys coming into pit lane. Ryan Jones has taken the bait as well. He is coming into pit road from the 2nd position, so pit stops coming in a little tiny bit earlier than they did last time. Luke Lafaro in So this right here, this is the money stop, barring a caution flag.
Yeah, this is where we got to see how Ryan Jones compares to Troy Turgerson. We can't forget about Randy Bechtel when he comes in. How smooth is Ryan Jones going to be here? What kind of time can he make up? How long is Troy Turgerson going to stay out on track? All that matters right now.
It certainly does, especially with the undercut that we've seen these guys be able to get. Alex Huffman was the one that got the last big undercut, was able to gain a lot of time as he's getting a big slide coming out of turn 2 again, as that 25 just refuses to keep the back end under him, as Torgerson now coming into coming into pit road. Randy Bechtel following suit. Huffman can see. Huffman's going to pass. Evan Pienta is going to come into pit road. So right now, Alex Huffman is the one that's going to stay out the longest of these group of cars. First one to come in last time, last one to come in this time, and that back end is really kicking out on that 25. He's having to drive that thing really hard in order to keep it straight.
Most definitely. This is exactly what the number 91 of Ryan Jones needed. He needed to beat 98 by a lap, maybe two. Any more towards the end, the tire game could come into play a difference. So it's going to be about a 1 lap difference here. We're going to see how close this gets. Turgeson's time on pit road was about the same as Ryan Jones. They were, in fact, 3/10 difference. We're going to have to see what Ryan Jones made up on track for that lap extra on fresh tires that Torgerson did not have.
He was about 3.7 seconds behind.
Oh, it's going to be close.
It's a little bit, it does look visually a little bit closer than it did last time through. Right
I'm thinking it's
now,
going to be about a second and a half.
yeah, that does look like what it is. It's about a second and a half. You're 100% right. So he gained 2 seconds by pitting 2 laps earlier. So half a second a lap just by pitting 1 lap sooner did the 91 of Ryan Jones. And that is something that has been a characteristic, not just of this race, but of this car as well. You gain a lot of time on pit road if you come in a couple laps early, which is why if you are the last car in a pack, it's not necessarily a bad thing that you come into the pits first.
No, not at all. So just put this in perspective. Ryan Jones pitted 1 lap 124, Troy Turgerson lap 126. Roughly the same time on pit road. Troy Turgerson was a little bit quicker by 0.3, but you see the difference of what on track makes. So Troy Turgerson actually the last time by 0.3 quicker than Ryan Jones. However, the time before Ryan was 0.3 quicker, so that's going to even out on these last 2 laps. We're going to keep a close eye on things and see if Ryan Jones can close that gap. But still the Troy Turgerson show as of now.
Alex Huffman just set the fastest lap of the race at a 30.04. The graphic on the screen here, those 2 ridiculously long bars, those are the laps that those guys came into pit. And now you can see just ever so slightly Torgerson starting to pull away just a little bit from the 91. So it's going to be a 2-horse race, really, between the 98 and the 91. Randy Bechtel currently sitting 2.5 seconds behind the pair in front of him. Chris Brown now has come into pit road.
So he couldn't make it.
Yeah, so his long last stint has been foiled.
And I got to be honest with you. I think Ryan is saving tires because Turgerson has been 0.3 faster, 0.3 faster, 0.3 faster. I think Ryan is being very, very patient right now. But he's going to have to get on the gas here pretty soon. But might not be a bad idea to be a little easy on those tires the first 10 laps, then really turn on the gas if you can keep that gap between within 2 seconds.
It's 2.1 seconds now, the gap between first and second. As you see the time delta again, it's starting to really grow now. Once again, from the pit stops, growing marginally every single lap between Troy Torgerson and Ryan Jones. So yes, you're right. They're it's great to save, but you also have to leave yourself enough time and enough tire to be able to push to make up a gap that you create yourself by saving as much as he is.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Let's go back to the 5th position of Jeff Pogo. It looks like Alex Huffman and Jeff Pogo are going to be locked into a battle with Evan Pienta in the hunt right behind them. But let's talk about Jeff Pogo's undercut. It's really working out for him. Like you said, he was in, what I believe, between 15th and 11th. Took the undercut twice now and is battling for effectively the 4th place position. However, he's losing 5th to Evan Pienta right now.
Looking at this top 5, again, there you see Pienta actually just getting into the top 5, making that graphic unfortunately irrelevant. Let's expand it out one more position to include Pogo. There it is. Coming in 4 laps sooner than Pienta, Torgerson, and Jones was able to move himself back up. He's come in 4 laps sooner than everybody else yet again, and he's been able to work himself up into the 6th position. Remember that run that we've been talking about him having over the last 4 races, finishing 2nd, 1st, 2nd, and 2nd.
Oh, that's right. That seems to be in jeopardy here.
Yeah, he's going to need a caution if he wants to keep that streak alive. Currently sitting in the 6th position, 8 seconds off the race lead. As
well, I was going to say, they say all streaks are made to be broken. And it looks like that's going to be, or very well could happen today.
There's still a decent amount of time here. We've got 30 laps to go. As there you see Evan Pienta currently running in the 5th position. We were talking about Pienta moments ago before the pit cycle happened. If you have not seen this guy on Trading Paints, some of the paint schemes he's done, and he's been working a lot with the 87 cars, the 87 Monte Carlo and the 87 Thunderbird here recently. The paint schemes, every single one of them, you see and you love his paint schemes here. You should see what he puts on Trading Paints. They are nothing but top quality, top flight, high quality paint schemes. So if you're looking for a guy, especially wanting some of the legacy cars, this is the man to look for, Evan Pienta. That Twisted T car that we saw him run last week. This car here. Oh my goodness, what was it? The throwback car at Darlington. All of those beautiful paint schemes are all done by him, and a lot of them are up on Trading Paints, and he's one of the best painters on that website, bar none. As we go back up to the race lead here, Troy Torgerson, that lead of his has started to level out a little bit. Last we saw it, it was a 2.1 second gap to Ryan Jones. It has leveled out to 2.3 seconds. As Jones battling with some lap cars there, as there's Winter in the 30. Winter a lap down right now, currently running in the 11th position. He is the lucky dog right now, is the driver of the 30. So if a caution were to come out here with 26 laps to go, he would be the one on. He would be the one to get the lucky dog. Only 10 cars on the lead lap right now. Stephen Holmes being the last one on the lead lap, and is still about 6 seconds away from Troy Torgerson, as we have been green flag racing here since we had a caution on lap 8. So this has been, you want to talk about long green flag runs and races going by quick, this has certainly been one of them, and there has been entertainment all over the racetrack.
Most definitely. This has absolutely been an entertaining race, and Randy Bechtel is in the hunt now for Ryan Jones. Gap is 3/4 of a second now. I really hope you didn't say that, and I was zoned out for a split moment. But Randy Bechtel is he's trying to close the gap. However, Ryan Jones was about 5/10 quicker that last lap. However, again, I'm saying that too many times. They're still both following Troy Torgerson, who is notably quicker than both drivers on track, and I take that back as a last time by.
Yep. Torgerson still the quickest car on track at a 31.02. Jones ran a 31.09. Bechtel ran a 31.09 to Jones's 31.29. And you could see, especially on laps 140 and 141, Bechtel has been taking bite-sized chunks out of that gap to Ryan Jones. Takes another 1/10 out there. So the two guys, again, we mentioned it before, the two guys that have had the most success on the long runs, this man, Troy Torgerson, and Randy Bechtel, have been the two guys that have been incredibly tough to beat here tonight. Could end up finishing 1-2.
Yeah, it very well could be. Something happened. Ryan Jones lost a second on Troy Torgerson real quickly. We must have missed whatever could have happened there.
He just had a big slide coming out of turn 4. So that back end really stepped out on that number 91, and now he's under serious pressure from Randy Bechtel. As they head through 3 and 4, Jones and Bechtel. This is a battle for the second position here between these two drivers. Torgerson has yet to win a race this season. Ryan Jones has yet to win a race. Randy Bechtel won the last D-shaped oval at Kansas. So this is a track style that Bechtel has had great success at. And if he could get up to second place, he'll be taking a nice amount of points out of Evan Pienta's 9-point lead coming into tonight. It's only 2 positions ahead of him right now, but still, that's a very good amount of points here as we just gotten past the halfway point of the season.
Sure is, and Troy Torgerson is leading the way on track right now. Fastest driver on the lead lap by about 400ths over Evan Pienta, a 10th faster than both Ryan Jones and Randy Bechtel. At class of the field today. So he said he was not a race winner. So as of yet, he's doing what he needs to do to change that tonight.
If everything stays the way it is right now, he will be a race winner. We will see 7 different race winners in 8 races this season, as Torgerson has really just dominated this race right from the end of the first run of green flag pit stops. He has not relinquished the lead since he took it from Alex Huffman a couple laps before that first round of pit stops started. So Torgerson has been just utterly dominant here tonight, but this battle for second is right now the closest battle we have on track right now that is for a meaningful position. Justin Winters and Stephen Holmes, these two are battling for the 9th position right now, a little bit further back. As Justin Winters has it, Stephen Holmes wants it in that number 9. As Jones and Bechtel right now, Bechtel looks as though he's falling off a little bit from the driver of the 91. Actually, Bechtel, the slowest one of the top 3 that last time around.
I mean, that might be so. However, he still has 16 laps to go here. He might just be looking for viable ways that he can get around Ryan Jones here. That being said, Ryan Jones is not going to make this easy, so Randy Bechtel probably needs to begin his siege shortly, and he might find a prime time to do so when they're coming up on the number 8, and I believe that was the number 30 in front of the 8. Is that correct? 31?
Yes, it is. 30 of Jeff Winter, and now there is a lap car between Jones and Bechtel as Holly gets into the wall coming out of turn 2, trying to stay clear of those two. Bechtel looked as though he gained quite a bit over the last lap or so. Torgerson was the slowest of the lot, but currently holds a 4.2 second lead over the pair you're seeing right now. Jones the quickest one of the lot over the last 3 laps as we hit 15 laps to go. Coming up the rest of this week here on ESPN, tomorrow night will be the first race of the season for the iRacing East Super Speedway Series. They will be in the Cup cars at Daytona International Speedway tomorrow night at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. A schedule change has forced the E-Formula Series race at Long Beach up to this weekend. Was scheduled for last weekend, but because it would have clashed with the iRacing 24 Hours at Daytona, they have moved it up to this weekend. So the iRacing E-Formula 3.5 Series will run their race at Long Beach this Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and then a doubleheader on Sunday at 6:50 p.m. It'll be the Chris Cup Series at Martinsville, and the nightcap at 7:45 will be the debut of the Majors Series here on ESPN. We'll be doing the Majors American Series here on ESPN. That will be the 2.4 hours at Daytona on January 17th. So a big weekend of racing here on ESPN as we've hit 13 laps to go. Now 12 laps to go. Torgerson leading this thing. Ryan Jones and Bechtel. This gap has started to widen in Jones's favor.
It sure has. Randy Bechtel definitely starting to fall off a little bit. Might have had to start pushing it a little bit harder than he wanted to give him a shot at Ryan Jones. Or perhaps Ryan Jones realizes that first is out of reach without a caution and decided that he was going to back it off a little bit and save some tires to make sure he can retain the second place position.
Yep, and there is your race leader right now. Evan Pienta coming under fire from Jeff Pogo. This is for the 5th position. As Pienta has a big moment coming out of turn 4. He has fallen well off of Alex Huffman as Huffman has gone 3 seconds up the road, 3.5 seconds up the road, as Pienta really having a lot of problems as there goes Jeff Pogo.
Real loose right there.
Yep, got a big snap going through the middle of 1 and 2 there as Pienta's car really struggling here at the tail end of this race. Has just lost that 5th position to Jeff Pogo and is now only a second back to Luke LaFaro in the 20, who's currently battling the 69 of Poling, and Chris Brown in the 1. Luke LaFaro, boy, having to really be wary as that 1 car. You saw him have a big twitch in turn 2. As LaFaro currently holding on to that 7th position. Thomas Ogle in the 23. Here he comes into your screen right there. Ogle running in 8th position. Justin Winters has been able to pull away from Stephen Holmes ever so slightly. Ryan Jones still holding that about a half a second gap to Randy Bechtel in the 29. As now with 8 laps to go, pretty much every position in the top 10 is set. There are a couple of battles here and there as LaFaro has really bared down on Pienta's. Pienta's really having problems on this set of tires at the end of the run.
Yeah, he sure is. Evan Pienta, Justin Winters, both struggling mightily. They're both about 0.3 off the pace of everybody else on the lead lap. These guys just need to hold on for another seven laps, that is, and then I'm sure they can't wait to go ahead and take a breather and take what they can get.
You can see the lap time difference between the two guys, LaFaro and Pienta. 2.5 tenths, 3 tenths, 7.5 tenths, almost 4 tenths, 2.5, 3 now, almost 4 tenths quicker as Pienta's tires have just completely given up, and that has cost him 5th and 6th position. That is making Randy Bechtel smile, while Bechtel might not be able to get up to that 2nd position. It was a 9-point gap coming into tonight's race. Bechtel does have a bonus point for leading a lap. Pienta does not. This could be back down to just 1 or 2 points by the time the 5.5 laps here cycle through.
Absolutely. If we're not getting a race win, this is exactly what Randy Bechtel needs to happen. He needs Evan Pienta to continue to fall back. Absolutely not what Evan Pienta wants to see, but this is almost a best case scenario for Randy Bechtel, if not winning the race.
Certainly would make me smile as Ryan Jones starting to push away from Randy Bechtel. That's up to 7.5 tenths between these two drivers. The gap between LaFaro and Pienta has grown to over a second already. And we were looking back at the Justin Winters, Stephen Holmes battle. There is the visual gap there. That is a half a second between those two. So the top 10 seem pretty firm.
We'll have to go back to, sorry to cut you off, we'll have to go back to 14th and 15th. That might be the closest potential battle between Matthew McMeekin and Daniel Dill. They're within 0.3 of a second of each other. We might get to see Daniel Dill make an attempt here for that 14th spot momentarily.
Yep, and Daniel Dill started up in the third position here tonight and just has not had the race that he was looking to have. And this battle is happening right in front of the battle we were just looking at between Justin Winters and Stephen Holmes, as these guys both currently sitting one lap down to the leader. Only the top 10 drivers are currently on the lead lap as we have 3 laps to go. Pretty much this top 10 has sorted itself out, and it looks as though it's going to finish in order as Torgerson, as we had mentioned, from about a lap or two prior to the first round of green flag pit stops, has been on an absolute tear and has been putting on an absolute clinic here tonight. He has really taken the reins here at Vegas.
He sure has, and I believe he just took the white flag. He's going to get around the corners one more time. And as you said, it sure does look like the top 10 are going to finish as running, barring anything really odd happening.
Yep. And Torgerson has been under absolutely no stress from about lap 50 on. Troy Torgerson comes off of corner number 4. He will win the Hooters Casino Hotel 250 at Las Vegas, his first win of the season. Ryan Jones will come home in second. Bechtel coming home in third. Alex Huffman in fourth. And unfortunately for Pogo, his string of 4 consecutive races finishing no lower than second has come to an end with a 5th place finish here tonight at Las Vegas.
That being said, though, he was running 12th or 11th to 15th, made those 2 undercut stops, managed his tires well, and brought it home 5th, perhaps in a car that wasn't quite good enough to be in the 5th place position. Good job trying to get that streak, or holding the streak. 5th place, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. As there is Troy Torgerson, your winner here at the Hooters Casino Hotel 250. And just a pure, an exhibition of pure dominance here tonight by the driver of the 98. Made it look about as easy as you can make something look. As we're going to try to get the top 3 in here right now. As we are going to bring up these guys. I believe we are going to get the leader. We are going to get the winner, Troy Torgerson, in first. If we can here. Yep, here he is. And I believe, John, you are with our race winner, Troy Torgerson.
Driver of the number 98, Navy Machine, Troy Torgerson. Congratulations on your first win of the season. You put on an absolute clinic right before that green flag, the first round of green flag pit stops. Great job. What do you think you did differently than the rest of the field that allowed you to bring it home first tonight?
I don't know. Thank you guys, man. Man, what a hot rod tonight, man. His setup just came to me. I don't know. The first set of tires there, we running in the pack and stuff, and I was watching the 25 there, and he was he was burning them up coming off the corners and stuff, and I was just trying to roll it through the corners. And God, I love Vegas, man. God, man, I'm stoked.
Competition is real, folks, and you're hearing it right now from tonight's race winner and Troy Torgerson. Sorry.
Cool, thanks, guys. Appreciate it, man. God, that was so fun, man.
Well, that's great to hear. Congratulations to you. As always, we're going to ask you if you have anybody you want to thank, any special shout outs before we let you go burn it down a little more or enjoy it with the rest of your with your buddies.
Yeah, I want to thank my teammate Tom Ogle, man. We talk a lot about what we need to do out on the track and stuff week in and week out, and he's a real help to me. Gary Griff for putting the Navy paint on the car for the year. It's absolutely awesome, man. I love supporting the Navy in the U.S. Thanks to you guys. Thanks to USRA and Eric and them guys that do this for us each week. And I'm just happy to be out here, man. What a great night.
Awesome.
Really
Go
quick.
ahead,
I'm sorry. Really quick. Going into Auto Club next week? What are your thoughts going into next week's race at Auto Club?
It's going to be a tough one again. I mean, I like the place. It's unfortunate that they're shutting it down or remodeling it or breaking it down or whatever they're doing. But I tend to run pretty good there. I've had some success, and once again, we'll just try to roll the car through the corners and save some tires and maybe get lucky again. Roll the dice here in Vegas. Got lucky. Maybe go 2 for 2 here.
All right.
Well, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Every
go
time.
Ahead. No, go ahead, bud. You're good.
That about sums it up. Roll it through the corners. Don't burn off your tires. Get to the line a little faster than everybody else. We'll be watching you next week. I can't wait to see you try to tear through it again and be a repeat finisher also this season. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Troy Torgerson, winner of tonight in the Navy machine. Congrats to him. Enjoy the rest of your evening, sir.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for the broadcast, man. Hopefully I get to talk to you again.
Yeah, Troy was definitely fast all night, and we all had a lot of fun out here. When it gets daytime here in Vegas, it gets real slick, and the cars get loose and all over the place. And I love those kinds of tracks. It's definitely the funnest race I've had all season. And I tried to catch up to Troy, pitting a couple laps earlier than him, and was praying I could catch up to him. And I think I started burning him up a little bit too quickly, and got loose a couple turns, and it made me drop back about a second or two. But all in all, man, I had a lot of fun. It was a great race. Glad to have ESPN on the side of my car. Glad you guys are broadcasting us. And man, I'm sweating. That was a lot of fun. Well, that's actually what made it a lot of fun. At the beginning of the race, when we were all kind of packed up and everything, I actually started getting tight because of how the pack was running, and so that really cost me some time. And then once we were able to get those first couple green flag stops rolling, I was able to do a little bit better the second run, but I wasn't used to being so loose, so I got really loose that run, and so I was able to make some changes. And once we got into that second, third green flag pit stops, I was away. Like I had figured it out, and unfortunately, not as good as figuring it out as Troy. But I'll take a second place. I've been having a rough couple weeks here, and all in all, man, it was just a lot of fun. Yeah, Auto Club is actually one of my favorite tracks. I've excelled very well there over time. I'm a big fan of the 2 mile tracks. I'm really good at being able to manage my time and take care of what I have there. And it's all really over there about getting a good qualifying start and being able to weave your way through traffic. And definitely have a few lanes to work with there, with it being a lot wider. But at the end of the day, once the tires start stiffening up, it kind of comes down to about only like one or two lanes there. So it's all about just being patient, and I'm looking forward to having fun at Auto Club. Oh, absolutely! I got to thank you guys, right? You guys, you guys are doing a great job with us. We really appreciate everything you do. I got to thank Jeff and Eric for hosting USRA, man. We just have a lot of fun in this league, and got to thank Sim Speed Shop. They're always with us over time, and they sell a great product for us simulator racers. And I have a blast with it, and I have a blast watching the replays with you guys. So thank you very much for everything you guys do. Yep, thanks, guys. You all have a good night.
Driver of the number 29 machine, Mr. Randy Bechtel. You bring it home third. Maybe not exactly what you were hoping for, but still a podium finish, a great finish. What do you think you could have done differently to either get by the number 91 machine of Ryan Jones or possibly battle Troy Turgerson for the lead or for the win?
Oh, well, I think it probably would have started off a little bit better in the first green flag stop. I think I waited too long to pit, so I lost a lot of time there. Then, like, halfway through the run, the times just leveled out, so you really couldn't catch anybody. So I think if I would have started out better, I don't know. I still don't think I would have had anything for Troy, though. I think he was in another zip code.
Yeah, Troy, it seemed like number 98 machine was just a little more consistent than you and Ryan Jones, and that seems to be what made the difference. That being said, Frank, do you have anything for him? Any other question? I asked mine.
It'd help if I turn my mic on. Uh, it's how much you look to be the closest one to Troy to be able to hold on to your tires for late in the run. You did the same thing at Kansas. Were you confident that if a caution were to come out and you had a decent enough run, like a 30 some odd lap run to the finish, you think you could have had a shot at winning this race?
I really don't know, to be honest. Troy was pretty quick on new tires also, so I know I got the pull, so I know how to get around there pretty quick early on. So I don't know. 30 laps is still a long run, though.
All right.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It sure is. Going into next week, Auto Club, what should we expect from you? What do you expect to happen on track?
Well, I'm hoping for some long green flag runs again. I'm usually pretty good there in the long run. If last year's anything, we had a bunch of long runs there, and I did pretty well, and I won last year on a light restart. So hopefully I can go back-to-back years there. We'll see.
Absolutely, that would be the way to do it. Looking into next week, Randy Bechtel's looking to repeat his victory from last year. Do you have anybody you would like to thank before we let you go?
I'd like to thank my teammates Chase and Aaron, who wasn't here tonight, our honorary teammate Ryan, who finished second. Our boss man, we call him Justin Wilson. Eric and Jeff from USRA for putting on the race, and thank you guys for broadcasting.
Well, absolutely. We always enjoy calling the race. I think I might enjoy being in the booth a little more. I'm a little more competitive with my counterpart up here than you guys on track. So that being said, I'm going to hand it back to Frank Marchese and Randy Bechtel. You have a great night. Congratulations on the third place.
Thank you.
So that was your third place finisher, Randy Bechtel, and it's nice to have somebody you're competitive with over the course of a race, is it not?
It most definitely is, and I mean, it just kudos. I mean, let's go back to these guys. Kudos to these guys. I mean, when you watch these guys run, you don't really understand or have the respect for them when you just watch them on a broadcast. When you get out here and actually try to run with these guys, and I like to think I'm a relatively competent iRacer. These guys are just good. They're all good. Even the guys that finished 20th on back, they are very fast. You don't always see that when watching, but you're hearing it from me. These guys are hard to beat. So, great organization, a lot of fun racing. Great to call.
It certainly has been a lot of fun racing over the course of today. Again, only one caution way back on lap 8 for an incident where guys just sort of got jumbled up. But from there, from lap 13 on, green flag racing. What a show, a class show of clean driving, competitive racing, a lot of respect all throughout the field here tonight. They put on one hell of a show tonight at Vegas.
Yeah, they most definitely did. Sometimes I wish I could be out there with them at some of these ovals, but I thank you for letting me come up here and be with you. I always enjoy it, and especially when they put on a great show. One caution race, folks. That doesn't happen very often. Outstanding.
It really doesn't. This was an absolutely phenomenal race here from these guys tonight. As we take a look at the final finishing order for tonight's Hooters Casino Hotel 250 from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Troy Torgerson, Ryan Jones, Randy Bechtel, your podium finishers here tonight, who we've just heard from. Alex Huffman coming home in the 4th position. Jeff Pogo rounds out the top 5. Luke Lafaro. What was that?
I thought you were giving room for me, but go ahead, finish up top 10.
Luke Lafaro coming home in the 6th position. Evan Pienta coming home in 7th. He was up in 5th and then really had a lot of trouble as the tires got older on that last set. Thomas Ogle coming home in the 8th position. Justin Winters 9th. Stephen Holmes 10th. Jeff Winter coming home 11th. Tommy Cannon 12th. And Chris Brown, who we thought was going to have a chance at winning this race if the race stayed green, which it did. Unfortunately, Pogo pulled everyone in a little bit early. Really ruined his run for a race victory here tonight. He comes home in 13th.
Sure does. Matthew McMeekin's going to bring it home 14th. Daniel Dill 15th. Eric J. Hawley, not the night that he won, is going to bring it home 16th. 17th is going to be for the the driver number 21, Mr. Mock. Larry Poling is going to bring it home 18th. Roy Lehman's 19th. God, it's a good thing I'm not on national TV talking. Jared Hagerdorn is going to bring it home 20th. Zach Calloway 21st. Robert Dudley's 22nd. Jamie Leach brings home 23rd. Chase Berry, a tough night, disconnected early after some incidences early in the race. And then Douglas Wolcott, also early termination. He only completed, I believe, 25 laps tonight. And that is the finishers here tonight.
It all comes with reps. As we end tonight's race, as we end tonight's broadcast here tonight, again, to the rest of the broadcasts here this weekend on ESPN, the iRacing East Series starts their Super Speedway Series tomorrow night. They will be taking the Cup cars around Daytona International Speedway. That will be at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. Saturday night will be the E-Formula 3.5 Series at Long Beach. This race, again, as I had mentioned earlier, pushed up to this week. It was supposed to be next weekend. It is now this weekend at 1:30. We'll get a chance to see what Long Beach looks like. They'll be the first series on the network to go to Long Beach. We're extremely excited by that. Then a Sunday doubleheader will be the Chris Cup Series from Martinsville. That'll be at 6:50 on Sunday night. Also on Sunday night at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time will be the first race for the Majors Series. We will be covering the Majors America Series all season long. So there are several races. If you don't know about the Major Series, there are several races where all of the series compete together, and then there are some where they split the series off to European, Asian, and American. we will be covering the American Series all season long. They will be running their Daytona 2.5 hours at Daytona at 7:45 on Sunday night. So for my broadcast partner, Jonathan Leach, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Have a